Hey everybody, welcome back to The Rant with Herman James. I'm Herman James, and on today's episode, we're putting in garage lighting. Hey everybody, like the introduction said, we're putting in some garage lighting today. I'm going to be taking out the old tube lights we have in the ceiling of the garage, and we call it our recycle room. We're going to take down those shop lights, and we're going to be replacing them with these guys. This was just a pack of 12 recessed LEDs off of Amazon. It's about $120 for everything in here. They're super thin, as you can see, and it doesn't require me to rewire anything. I did also pick up a dimmable light switch. These are supposed to be unbelievably bright, so I figured that we'll probably put them in at about 50% max of its full brightness and keep it there. But when I'm in the garage doing work on the cars or any other DIY projects we're doing in this house, that'll let me see things at night a lot better than what we have now. The tools I'm using for this is just my regular drill, and then we've actually picked up a hole cutter here. It's going to allow me to choose the diameter as long as it's going to fit within this 6.1 width of the stencil that was given with the product. And this here around it, this tray, is going to actually keep all of the dust and everything that's going to be falling from the sheetrock cutting from above my head in the pan and reduce the amount of actual crap coming into my eyes and I have to clean up. This was about $32, depending where you're at with tax and everything too. And of course, the Milwaukee drill I've had for a very long time, and this was the drill and driver set I got for $100 from Home Depot. So keep an eye on those things. I'll have links in the description below as well, so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So this is my recycle room. So along with what we're doing in the garage here, I'm also putting new lights in here. And as you can see, this is the fluorescent tubing that I have in here now for the lights. This was with the house when I bought it. It's nothing special, but you can see right here, the X is where I'm going to want to put a light. And I've already dry fit one right here, 6-inch diameter lights, and I have it wired in. I just want to make sure it's going to fit the hole, and it does. So now, with knowing that that's going to work, we're going to move on to putting the rest of these lights in and wiring them in permanently. Apparently the microphone on the camera was off for this section, so to give you a quick overview how this drill bit works, essentially you're looking at the center of it. It actually tells you what your dimensions should be and what you should place it to depending upon the stencil. Now you can put the stencil up to it if you want to make sure it's going to fit, but the two blades on the outside will actually drill it very well, while the center bit is going to hold it in place, and the shield around it keeps a lot of the sheetrock from falling on your face. The bottom piece here is what it's going to actually push against. It is actually spring loaded, so it's not going to automatically be flush against any sheetrock. And then, like any normal drill bit, you just tighten it up to the drill as you normally would, and then you're good to go. Now, I've already placed the X's on my ceiling here because I've already been in the attic and I've checked to verify that there's no plumbing, gas lines, or other electrical in this area where I'm going to be placing these lights. There is some sheetrock in there in these particular areas that can be pushed up and out of the way, but there's no spray foam in the area, so I'm good to go ahead with drilling through this part of the sheetrock, knowing I'm completely safe. Alright, so you saw trying to get that piece out. The bit seems to go through pretty well, but it gets clogged, so pulling it down and pulling the trigger and then trying to get it to go at speed goes. It still blocks, but I was able to get the hole drilled. As you can see, I got the foam here. There's nothing in here in the way of doing things, so the light's going to be able to go directly up in here. But what I've got to do first is disassemble this whole apparatus here. It's actually bolted in, and it's hard to see on camera here, right behind here. So I've got to pull these tubes out, take this whole thing down, and the wire that's actually going to be up behind here, I'm going to see if I can fish into this guy here. The issue is right here is a 2x4. So I might have to go into the attic if I can't reach over and grab it out of there, and then here it'll be fun. We'll see what I can do. And right here, it looks like they actually had a full-on light in here before. So now I'm going to have to actually get a block off for that and pull that back into the attic and actually fill that area back in. But I'm able to unclip these wires and run them right over to here. Alright, so like we said here, we've got the holes cut up here that need to be done. Now the issue is that I have got this junction box here that needs to make it all the way into this guy here. So instead of having the wires drilled through or pulled out and pushed up and over, what I'm going to do is take this Romex. I'm going to drill a hole down through the junction box up here. I'm going to shove this through, and where you see the caps here, those are the piggybacks that were already running to this big light here. So we're going to take this Romex in its place. We're going to have it go from the junction box here to the new junction box that will be installed for this guy. I'm then going to take a longer piece of Romex and run it from this guy all the way to this guy, so that we're able to run all of the lighting to where it needs to be for both of these. It's easier that way to do than to rerun everything, so I'll get in the attic. It's about 110 here in Sacramento today, so it's going to suck up there. But if I take care of all this now, since this is already wired in series with all of the garage lights, I shouldn't have to piggyback this light all the way back to this light and to this one. It should already be done in series, and this should just be a piggyback off of it, like an offshoot, and still run perfectly fine. I'm going to go do this, get in the attic. There's not enough light, so I won't be bringing the camera and flashlights and electrical. So it'll be about a half hour for me, but it'll be about a second for you to see what I'm doing. Alright, so I just came down from the attic. Like I said earlier, it's about 110 here in Sacramento. So my attic is probably hotter than Satan's butthole right now. I am profusely drenched in sweat, wearing my work sandals, of course, so those nice and soft and gushy. But I was able to run the Romex wires. So these wires here are going to get connected to these piggyback wires, which are these wires right here, which will run to that wire right there where the already pre-hung light was at. So all that will go in series, and I was able to do that because that was already wired there, and I had no problem with that wire being there. And so once I plug that in, everything should light up here, and then it'll all be in series in the garage. But due to the fact that I am just drowning in sweat right now and knocking things over, we'll take a break. It's always important to hydrate and keep your electrolytes up before you pass out in the heat. But we'll get these set up, plugged in, and you'll see what it look like when we're all done. Alright, so for these guys, this is what it came with. This is the 4 connectors we're talking about. So 3 lines here, ground, white, black. 1 for each of these. I'm essentially just going to stick the ones it came with fully seated on the far side here with the yellow logo. They're tight, but they're not super tight. You can still pull them out, but you want them just snug enough where you can feel that the connection's in there and it's tight. It's not backing out. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fill these all in, and the reason I'm keeping it to this side is just so it's all the same. It's universal. The instructions don't tell you one way or the other, and to be honest, it shouldn't matter. The connection's coming through this plate here, so it should not matter in any way how you connect them to which pole you're going to use. But it seems, for me, for my sake, I know that if I do all these the same through all the boxes up there, they're all going to be universal. And now we'll connect these to the guys up top here. As you can see, this one is coming from that side over there, so that's coming from the hot line. And this side is what's going over to the other line over there. So we're just going to follow what I just said. So we have these guys here. I'm trying to make sure I don't pull on anything because I have enough room for a little bit of give, but not a horrible amount. So what we're going to do here is plug these guys into this box here, and it's going to run this way over to this guy here. And make sure on these here, you're going to pull these pieces through so you can run them through. Because if you don't, the box is closed with these guys plugged in, and there's nowhere to go, and you're not trying to close it over top. Simple flathead pushes these guys through, and then you can rip them out if you want to. It's not going to matter. What we're going to do is we're going to try to plug these through here. Like I said, I've got a little bit of play with this, but not much. So what it's going to be easy to do is push these guys through one by one, I think, plug it, and then pull it back in if I can get that to work out a little easier for me. So let's find out. Green here is going to go for the ground. Also make sure you're not letting this rub on this metal too much, the coating, so it's not going to cause a ground in the long term. So now I've got, oops, alright, let's try this out again here. So this guy fully seated in there. I can see he's fully in that side. Now I'm going to bring this back in and see how that's going to keep him in there for me. And it is, but it's not easy. And now we're going to try to do the same for the series box. So once all these get in that way and all through, I'll show you what it looks like when we're all done. Alright everybody, well, after some time, some effort, no really bloody knuckle that tore some skin off a little bit here and there, but after all that, The lights are in. I got them all in. I got 2 in. I'll be honest, I got 2. I have 8 more to do in my garage. But for now, these 2 are going to be the beginning of what we had here. If you remember the beginning of the video, right on top of the mac and cheese area over here, right here where we have this open junction box area, which I'll have a plate put on there because you just have to have it closed off. I just haven't got it yet from Home Depot because I don't want to make my 3rd trip today there. I think it's 3? Yeah, 3. So you can see kind of where the line was, where that old shop light was at. It's no longer there. I've got better coverage for light in this entire area. We call this our recycle room because we put recycling for cans and bottles in here, but it's also our dry storage and stuff because our kitchen isn't big enough to house everything in here. So this is all good. Lights are great on here. No dimmer switch yet. These are at 100% right now. It's super bright in here. Granted, it's only about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, but it's usually pretty dark in here. So it's daylight. It's like bright daylight, which is what these lights are for. So they look good. I'm enjoying it. We'll do another video when I put up the lights in the garage so everyone can see these. I highly recommend these lights. I am not a handy electrician in any way, shape, or form. I don't like turning off the power, which for these I didn't. I just have a light switch that's outside there that's turned off. I didn't even turn the breaker off. But it's very simple. Essentially, as the video showed you, it's just a plug and play. Take the old wires, snip them, plug them into the butt connectors that came with, or do like I did. They didn't seem to want to fit very well. I had thicker Romex, so I didn't use the butt connectors. I actually used twists for each one and ran them in series, and they worked perfectly fine. You don't have to be a master electrician or carpenter to do this kind of stuff. The entire kit cost me $150, $150, for 12 lights that come with their junction boxes. I'm reusing Romex I had in the house, so if you don't have it, you could probably get away with buying $25 worth of it. This asks for, I think, 90 or something like that, a very thinner coating of it so that it goes into the butt connectors. And that's really it. So for under 200 bucks, you can do all of this yourself. I spent the money, the $32, on the saw. You don't have to have it. You can just use a sheetrock saw and cut out around it if you want to do that. And even still, $30 on top of that, you're still around that $200 mark to do a complete light upgrade. It's worth it. You can do it. Absolutely, you can do it. So much so that I'm going to do it again, like I said, in my garage. And when that's done, I'm going to do it in my kitchen. And I'll have a video for each one that I do to show you. It's easy. Amazon was the place I bought these from. I'm not sponsored by Amazon or the company that is manufacturing these lights. I bought everything on my own. This is all my own personal opinions of how I'm doing things. I get help from my friends to hold cameras and help wire things up or loan me tools. That's what it's about. You can do all of this for cheap. My recommendation: don't pick a day that's 110 degrees plus outside if you've got to get into your attic. I'm sweaty. I'm going to jump in my pool now. I'm going to have a good one. You have a good day. And I can't wait to be in your eyes and ears next time.